Hi, everyone, and welcome to the One Lonely Owl podcast. My name is Terry, and I will be your host. Today is episode 4 of the podcast, where we will talk about all of my knitting adventures, past, present, and future, as well as any other potential hobbies that I may get up to. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you are a new viewer, thank you for giving me a try. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate each and every view, comment, like, subscribe. All those things really mean a lot that you are here to join me. I hope you, if you are joining us today, find something of value that you can take with you to enrich your life. With that, let's dive in. Let's get started. So if you are new, or if you're a new viewer, what you won't know is that I come from Newfoundland. I'm originally from Newfoundland and Labrador on the east coast of Canada, and I use some of my terminology from there to sort of segment the podcast. So I hope you enjoy some of the things and maybe a little bit of a geography lesson or a linguistic. That's not the word I'm looking for. Anyway, a lesson in language. Linguistics. No, still can't get it. The other thing that you may not know, if you're a new viewer, is that I sort of joke about how I have a fair bit of brain fog. And sometimes I can't come up with words, or I'll forget where I was going. So I will apologize in advance if that's the case for today. Generally speaking, I keep my show notes right here. So you will see me from time to time just sort of peeking over here to see if there's anything that I've missed. Let's dive in. All right. So the very first segment is Mug Up. Mug Up. Again, if you're new here, a mug up in Newfoundland is where people go into the woods, basically, and they boil a tea or a coffee or whatever. This is the segment where I discuss what it is that I will be or am drinking throughout the podcast and share a little bit about where I got it. Today's tea is Just Peachy from David's Tea, and it is... Just give me a second. It is living in my little green mug. I believe I talked about this. I definitely talked about it throughout the past couple of episodes, but I believe I talked about it in my very first or second episode. Can't recall. Anyway, I'm going to let it cool down a little bit because I just brewed this, so it is still quite a bit too hot to even consider drinking. This mug also came from David's Tea. It's called a knit mug. It was on the box, but it, as you can see, looks a bit more like a woven pattern. Whoops. Now I'm spilling water everywhere. So I will be drinking from there throughout the podcast. What the actual heck have I done? I'm spilling it everywhere. Hold, please. Again, as I have once before done, I will put in some hold music or something. Holy guacamole, it's hot. I don't want that to be done perking. Hold on. Starting this one over. Let's see. Yowza. All right, that was a big hot mess. Okay, as I said, this segment is Mug Up, and this is my cup of Just Peachy, which is from David's Tea. In my David's Tea, it was called a knit mug, but it, as you can tell, is more of a woven print. Oh, and the coaster that I'm using is, again, I don't know where she got these, so I'll apologize, but a girlfriend of mine gave these to me. My favorite show of all time is Schitt's Creek. This says, "You're not the only one with an online presence." Again, a quote from the show. Hilarious, as always. So that is living there. Okay, so La is the segment where I discuss what I am wearing. It is cooling down here now, so I do have the opportunity to wear a few more knits, although today I am not wearing anything. I'm just wearing a sort of a 3/4 sleeve shirt, but I am wearing, spoiler alert, Polka Dot Creek. I am wearing, and I'll take it off so I don't have to do gymnastics to show you my foot. This, I believe, and I will double check and make sure, was one of the very first Christmas sock sets that I bought from Polka Dot Creek. And I believe the main color was mistletoe. And then the contrast color, I don't know. I don't think it's brick. Anyway, I will find out. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it was the mistletoe sock set. And it's ages and ages old. As you can see, I don't know if you can see that. There's a bit of fuzz. There's a bit of a halo there, just because they get worn a fair bit. It is a Christmas sock set, but I did all one color so that, you know, it wasn't too red and green type looking. It is color. It is showing true to color, so it's a bit of a raspberry type color in the heels, toes, and cuffs. And then obviously there's a matching color in, or a coordinating color or whatever in the main color. So that's all I'm wearing today is knit socks by Polka Dot Creek. Well, by yours truly. The pattern that I use for those socks is just my vanilla recipe, which is a 12-stitch Turkish cast on with make one left, make one right to bring up the toe. Sorry, I do a toe up sock. Then I get to, I think I did these on maybe 2.5, so 64 stitches, because they're a little bit looser than my other pairs. And then I did a fish lips kiss heel in this particular one. I don't normally do those anymore. And then knit all the way up the leg, do 2x2 rib, because I prefer 2x2 rib than a 1x1 rib. So that's it. That's all I'm wearing. I didn't say this at the beginning, but la is Newfoundlandese, if you will, for look, as in look at what she's wearing. That's kind of where that comes from. Whatta Ya At? So I will warn you, I did it again where I started and finished a project. Actually, I didn't start and finish it in that last 2 weeks, but I had started it and gotten very little done. And then I think I showed it on the podcast, and then I basically worked exclusively on it so that I could get it finished because it was a gift for my girlfriend's mom. So my girlfriend's mother lives in Australia, and she was leaving Canada to go to visit some other family and then to continue on to Australia. So I sort of rushed to get the particular project that I was working on completed. So there's only one project in Whatta Ya At, which is the segment where we talk about what I am working on. So I will get to the project that I was just referring to in finished objects. So I was working on this particular project and had done and finished it because I was working exclusively, pretty much exclusively on it. And I just realized that the other project that I was working on, I don't have with me. So I will apologize, but I will put in a picture here where I am working on and how far I've gotten with the pumpkin patch socks by Polka Dot Creek. So Shelly from Polka Dot Creek asked if there were any people that could do a sample knit for her. So I reached out because I'm going to be knitting anyway, so why not just do something that somebody else could benefit from? I have finished the first sock minus the heel. I will do an afterthought heel, but I've not completed that yet. And I have completed the toe, and I've moved on to the body of the sock for the second sock. So again, like I said, I will have already posted a picture up of the progress that I've made with those. The main color is pumpkin patch. The contrast colors are avocado and spice. I'm knitting those on 2.5mm needles with the Polka Dot Creek yarn. Again, I did a 12-stitch Turkish cast on, increased up to 64 stitches, knit around and round and round until I get the completed sock, get to the cuff, do the contrast color for the cuff, and then I will cut in a heel afterward. So that's it. That's literally all I've been working on, and I'll be honest, it hasn't been much. There hasn't been much progress on it because up until Thursday, so a couple days ago, I had been exclusively working on the Katie Goes Loopy shawl, which brings us to our next segment. So we're going to dive right back in to Yes By. Yes By. So again, Yes By is, oh, sorry, What Ya At? A quick little thing. What Ya At is what are you up to? So that's what are you up, what are you up to? What are you knitting on? What Ya At? So that's the pumpkin patch socks. Now, Yes By. Yes By is a term of, it's sort of like an all-encompassing term, so you can talk about, that guy that helped you move your dishwasher. Yes By, and that's actually a really bad description of it. That's not it at all. This is a hot mess today. I've always said when I started this that I wasn't going to edit the crap out of it because I wanted it to be authentic. And I'll be honest, I am not firing on all cylinders today, so I will apologize. Okay, so Yes By is, like I said, a bit of a catch-all where why I've used it is because when you're finished making something and you go out in public, a lot of people that don't knit or craft in any way will say, like, you made that? Yes By. In Newfoundland, obviously not anywhere else. So Yes By is the finished objects thread because I get those reactions when I'm at home often. So the Katie Goes Loopy shawl, which is by the Cozy Up Knits team, and it was completed by a True Colors True Colors shawl kit by Creek Gardens Crafts. So Shelley from Creek Gardens Crafts had a sale in her Etsy shop, and you've heard me say this 1,000 times, so I purchased a True Colors shawl kit, and I used it to make the Katie Goes Loopy for my girlfriend's mom, who lives in Australia, and was very appreciative of the gift, so I gave that to her the day before she left to go to leave Canada. Again, because I started it, or sort of half started the color work part, or the color section, I don't have it with me because I've already gifted it to her, so I will post a picture right here where I had blocked it. So I had blocked it on my bed. I actually blocked it upside down, so I apologize because it's not as colorful on the wrong side as it is on the right side, but I think I have a couple of pictures, so I'll have spattered those in and out so you could see kind of what I had done for that. That's Yes By. The next segment is twacking. So I'd previously called it I Went Twacking. I think I'm just going to call it twacking. Again, twacking is a Newfoundland term, and it essentially means where you went shopping. Ultimately, it means I went shopping with no intention of buying, and then you don't buy things. But in my case, I have bought, and that's kind of where I got the idea for this. So twacking. Surprise, Polka Dot Creek, who Shelley is my favorite yarn dyer. She has a brick and mortar store in Airdrie, Alberta. If you are ever in the area and you want to pop in and see her. She had an online sale on the August long weekend in Canada. I think it's just like called the Civic Holiday. I'm not even sure what it is, but anyway, the weekend in August, there is a long weekend, and Shelley had a sale. So I went online, and I had no intention of buying anything. And like I said in my previous episode, I never have any intention of buying anything, and I always end up coming out with something. So I ended up buying some things from the Polka Dot Creek sale. So I'm going to show you those, and I'm going to apologize for any crinkling if you might hear some. I don't think so, because most of it is, I don't think any of it is in plastic. So I have a DK sweater made with Polka Dot Creek's DK Fingering, or DK Tweed, and this is actually one of the colors in it. This is Tweed Fingering. So, and the colorway for this particular one is silver. I think I might do a sweater with it. I'm not totally sure. I bought 3 skeins because generally I can get a sweater out of 3 skeins of fingering. I can get a boxy out of 4 skeins of fingering, so I'm pretty sure I'll get something out of it. And because I was I'm really into tweed and fall-like colors anyway. They're my favorite, and fall is my favorite time of year. So you would have already seen Eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is a colorway that I am working on, Flax Light, which I did not work on at all in the past couple of weeks. But I thought the Tweed was just too gorgeous to let pass by. So this is the Eucalyptus in the Tweed Fingering. So I bought a sweater's quantity of that as well. I believe I have spoken about my Calliope. I'm pretty sure I've spoken about it, and then I've posted some pictures in there. I have 2 small children, so I'm not sure how realistic this is, but I was thinking about maybe doing another Calliope in just the natural color, the Classic DK. And so that's Classic DK Natural. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 100 grams, 245 yards. So we will see if that will come to pass or not, or if I am being ridiculous thinking that I could actually wear a cream colored sweater and not have it be full of handprints or Play-Doh or something else. And then last but not least, the classic sock. So this is usually what I have a large collection of. This is in the gray colorway, although it's looking a little bit purpley there. Maybe that's a bit closer. So yeah, I bought a bunch of sweaters quantities because of the bananas sale that she had. As I'm recording this, it is getting closer and closer to Polka Dot Creek's sweater weather sale. So on September 1st, Polka Dot Creek has, I think it's September 1st to the 30th. I'll double check and I'll put some stuff below. Polka Dot Creek does a sweater weather sale where you can order, and I will correct myself if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure because I've taken advantage of the sale many years in a row since she started having it. But you can order a sweater's quantity of whatever base they carry in any color that they do. So if you are looking for a sweater's quantity in DK Tweed, but there isn't a sweater's quantity on the website, you can actually order it, and it will be dyed specifically for you. It's dyed in certain levels, like certain batches. So some you have to order 3 of skeins, like, and multiples of 3, or some are 2s. So 2, 4, 6, whatever. But yeah, check it out, polkadotcreekyarn.com, the sweater weather sale. Like I said, I have taken advantage of that sale a couple of years, 2 or 3 years in a row. However long Shelly's been having it, I have been taking advantage of it. I'm just going to try to get some of this without spilling it all over myself like I did the first time. Let's see how well that goes. And if it's scorching hot or not. Not too bad. Oh, that is so good. That is so good. And it's kind of funny, sorry about the weird, I just have to get that out of the way and put it up there. I have a vanilla lip balm on, and it kind of tastes like peach and vanilla mixed together. It's kind of yummy. Yummy, 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 yummy. Okay, the other thing that I ordered, so I won't talk too much about it. I ordered a pre-order stranded dye works. So again, I'll put anything here, and anything that I talk about in this episode, I will also link in the description box, which you can find just below this video. When you look on it, I think depending on what if you're on a smart TV or if you're on a tablet or a phone, excuse me, you have to click more in order for the description to show up. But anyway, Stranded Dye Works had a pre-order for their, oh my gosh, now the brain fog kicks in, the Stranded Elf colorway. So I ordered some of that as well as a couple of other things. So once those come in, they're coming from the UK, and there is a bit of a wait because of it was a pre-order, so it has to be dyed to order essentially. So that will be in the mail in, say, 6 to 8 weeks from when I ordered it. So hopefully I'll be able to show that in the next couple of episodes or so. All right, so that's Twacking. Like I said, 3 or 4 sweater quantities and a bunch of other stuff. And then the Stranded pre-order. Next segment is Now to Once. Now to Once is my future knitting plans. Like I said, I have put a lot of my projects kind of on hold while I was getting a couple of shawls made as gifts. So Now to Once in Newfoundland means I'll get to it now to once. I'm actually going to get back to the things that I had previously been working on. So I want to finish my Flax Light, and I want to finish the socks and things that I said that I would do as a sample knit for Shelly. So I'm going to get back to those. The other things that I had talked about were the potential to knit a Calliope or a skirt or something of that nature, maybe even a gray cardigan. I talked about maybe doing the Bly. Anyway, all of those things are kind of on my radar, and they're not forgotten. They're just the two shawls that I had made as gifts were the two shawls that I made as gifts sort of took precedence over everything else. So I got to that. I got to finish those, and now that those are completed, I can get back to the things that I was working on, and then we'll talk about some future stuff. Now to Once. That's it for Now to Once. So Jiggs and Reels. Jiggs and Reels is where I talk about what I've been watching, reading, or listening to. This is a big segment, so I will apologize. Normally it's not this big, but I will apologize because I'm going to be looking over here a lot because I have been reading and listening to a lot of things. So, Jigs and Reels in Newfoundland are typically like songs and dances, and I had mentioned in my previous podcast where I talked about the reel and how a video reel sort of made me think of that, so that's where the term Jigs and Reels comes from. So first I started and finished Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It was actually Taylor Jenkins Reid was a recommendation by a girlfriend, actually a couple of girlfriends in our knitting group. And I had read in the past The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and quite liked it. And I didn't realize that Taylor Jenkins Reid had done all of these other books that everybody was recommending. So I dove into Daisy Jones and the Six, and I finished that and really enjoyed it. Didn't realize that it was based on, or loosely based, I'm not exactly sure, on the story of Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac, but big fan of those. And when the book starts and it's describing everything, you're like, gee, this sounds familiar. And then later on I find that it has something to do with Fleetwood Mac, and then you're like, oh right, the brothers, whatever. So started and finished Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I started, and actually I sort of restarted Alice Feeney, His and Hers. I had read some of it while I was in the hospital during cancer treatment. Again, if you're new here, I apologize, but the last couple of episodes I talk a little bit about how in the last year I have had 2 types of cancer and ended up in the hospital getting treatments. So I had read some of His and Hers while I was in the hospital, but I did a lot of sleeping when I was doing chemo and radiation, so I didn't actually finish it. So I'm sort of starting in the middle or wherever it was that I left off. So I'm currently reading that one or listening to that one. I had been, the last time I recorded, and I hadn't talked about it, but I had it scroll across the bottom that I was listening to A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Super popular. Really, I guess it got a presence on TikTok. It was a recommendation by my dental hygienist. And I could not get into it. I tried, and it just wasn't for me. So I don't really know if fantasy is kind of my thing. I love historical fiction. And it's, I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. So maybe I'll give it another try later, but it just doesn't seem to be my thing. What else have I been reading? The Nature of the Beast by Louise Penny. I've probably read a chapter, if that, of that since then. I finished The Alice Network by Kate Quinn. So if you're into historical fiction, The Alice Network, The Rose Code, and The Diamond Eye, all by Kate Quinn, I have read in quick succession, and I really enjoyed each of them. They are set in World War II in different sort of contexts, but I won't spoil it. If you're into those types of things, go give those a try. And then my book club at the library, my local library has a couple of book clubs, and the one that I am in, we are currently reading The Once and Future World by J.B. McKinnon. So I read like 12 pages of that, so got a lot on the go. If you haven't been here before, I usually have something that I'm listening to as well as something that I am holding, like a piece of paper, a hard copy or a paperback copy, and then always have an audiobook on the go. For television shows, my husband and I finished season 1 of Silo. The jury's still out on that one. I'm not sure. I'm enjoying it enough to continue to watch. I'm just not sure. We'll see. I guess we'll see when season 2 comes. And what else? I don't think I've been watching anything else. As always, podcasts, and I will link some of my favorites below, and I won't mention any of them because I always miss out on one or many. And listening. Pretty much. Oh, something else that we were listening to. So my husband and I took a little road trip to visit some family, and S-Town. We listened to some of the S-Town podcast. I think we're on like chapter 6 of something or other. He had it on his phone while we were driving, and so he had it on, and I just kind of was knitting in the front seat and listening by proxy, and started to really enjoy it. So listening to that, I guess you could say, as well. So again, anything that I talk about, I'll link below. And if I've forgotten anything else, I'll also link it below as well. I feel like this is going to be a really quick episode because I have not done a ton of knitting or crafting in the last little while, other than, like I said, the shawls that I had completed. We're right into Best Kind. Best Kind is the segment where I talk about things that I do to improve and maintain my mental health and well-being, basically. I've talked about things like meditation and yoga in the past. Being outside is a really big part of that. But today I'm going to talk a little bit about something that I guess could show up in Twacking as well, even though not really shopping. We didn't go shopping, but we have had to purchase a bunch of things since this. My husband and I have been talking about the possibility of getting a dog. And we'd been talking about it for quite some time. And we were, with the year that we've just had, we were both like, gee whiz, we're going to be too tired. It's so much work, etc., etc. All of the reasons not to do something. Anyway, we finally bit the bullet and we came home with a puppy. So the puppy doesn't have a name yet. And as always, because I'm not going to show him, I'll just sort of impose a photo right there of this puppy. He, his breed is a golden doodle, and he comes from a farm near where we live. And doesn't have a name yet. We have a few tossed around that we're thinking about, but I'll update you. Hopefully in 2 weeks he'll have a real name, and we'll be able to share it by then. Or if by the time I upload this he has a name, I'll have it scroll across the bottom, or like I'll link it below or something. Not link it below, but I'll note it below in the show notes. So one of the things that I find really good for my mental health is to walk and to be outside. So with a new puppy, first of all, it's a new puppy and he's adorable. Second, because he's a puppy, we have to be outside with him. And so we've been training him and we have been walking him. He comes from a farm, so he is not leash trained or all those sorts of things. So we're working on a bunch of stuff, and we're, walking up and down the driveway, and I'm trying to get him to, follow me places and whatnot. And so far so good. It's going really well. And I have to say, from the moment we took him home, he's been amazing, and B, he's been really good for my mental health. I thought I was going to be really nervous. Actually, I was really nervous about how much work it was going to be and whether I was going to be able to stay like on top of it, you know, like stay awake enough and stay like one step ahead of him, because I have to be the one, you know, my husband and I are the ones training him. So anyway, so far so good. And it's only been a day and a half, so I'll let you know as things progress. Something else that I haven't mentioned before, and I feel like it sort of goes without saying, but doing something for somebody else, particularly when they least expect it, that is something that I find immense joy in, and it brings me a lot of warm, fuzzy feelings. One of the things that really brings me up is when I can gift somebody something that they appreciate. And as a knitter, usually one of those things is knitting, and I do not knit. I do not take knit gifts lightly. I do, if you must be knit worthy. If you do not appreciate a gift that I have made for you, chances are you won't get a second one. My husband, who I love dearly more than anything in the world, does not get knitted gifts because he is not knit worthy. And I know I'm preaching to a choir out here of people who already get that, so I'm not at all surprised if there are some nodding heads or thumbs up to agree with me. But the shawl that I had shown you previously, the Katie Goes Loopy shawl that I made for my girlfriend's mom, when I gifted her the shawl, she had no idea that I was making it for her, and she was so appreciative. She will definitely be on the knit worthy list from now on, but it just makes me feel warm inside when somebody can appreciate the work that you've put into something and they can have joy out of it. You know, there was many hours put into that project. The yarn that was put into the project, you know, was hand dyed Pima cotton. So I'm, again, just really, really appreciative when somebody else sees and gets joy out of something that I was able to make. So that really filled my cup. The other thing that I hadn't mentioned before, and I don't know how it got by me, but one of the main things that I do for, I guess, addressing any mental health concerns is counseling. So I do one-on-one counseling with a local psychologist, and I wanted to bring up this not as medical advice, because that is not what I'm here to talk about. But I really find a lot of benefit from traditional talk therapy, but I've recently been able to find some improvement with EMDR. So again, this is not me telling you to go do that. It's just something that works for me. But if you're interested in talking with your medical professional about EMDR, and now I can't remember what it stands for, eye movement desensitization something. Again, I'll link it below, and I would have already put a title across the bottom because I've already forgotten what it's called. But the process of that treatment is absolutely incredible and has done wonders for me. So I wanted to put that in there. Like I said, I am not even sure how it got by me that I've forgotten to mention it in previous episodes. The other thing that I have purchased, again, could have probably gone into the previous Twacking segment, was plastic bins. I've got a lot of organizing that I would like to do, and I purchased a bunch of bins with the back to school things, all that sort of stuff. All the shops and stores are filling up with organizational options, I guess you could say. So I purchased a bunch of bins so that I can help declutter some of the stuff that our kids have accumulated over the years. So I'm going to spend some time doing that. But even just buying the bins to put it in has helped relieve some of that chaos that happens in my brain. I cannot believe that I'm already done. It's probably because I have very little knitting to show, and I actually didn't show anything other than the yarn that I've purchased. And there's no problem in that. So this one's short and sweet. I apologize in advance if I've missed anything. I will see you again in 2 weeks. Until then, I guess, yeah, I hope you've enjoyed spending some time with me. So thank you so much for joining me. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for giving me a try. I hope you've lasted this long. If you are a returning viewer, oh my gosh. Hi, Mom. Thank you so much for joining me, Mom. And, you know, the 4 other people that decide that they want to watch. Where was I going? Now I've forgotten. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for joining. Oh, please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you can be notified for any future content that I may upload. I will see you in 2 weeks with hopefully a bit more knitting content. Until then, take care and we'll see you next time. Bye.